Hey guys, good afternoon, everyone. Glad to have y'all in the house with us tonight. If you're just joining us, I want, if you would, to tag a couple of your friends. Maybe share the post a couple of times. We're looking forward to having a great show this afternoon. We got some special guests in with us. Also got some old guys in here with us. Got Chad Bryant in with us. Chad, man, what's up, man?
Man, just getting ready for a good Thanksgiving and a couple of days off. How about you, bud?
Hey, man, I've been doing good. What about you, Aaron, man? How's things going for you? Aaron done froze up. What about it, Joey?
I'm doing better than I deserve, buddy. That's for sure. One more day of work, and then I'm off for 4. But no complaints here.
Yeah, guys, if y'all joining us now, hey, gonna give y'all a little bit of time to jump in here. Got Adam Wright. He is in the house.
Not Adam Wright, Cody Howard.
Let me go. Adam, glad to have you tuned in with us, man. Mike Graham, Sean Davison, Kevin Walters, Michael Hilliard, man, good to see y'all. Hey, and we got a special guest with us this afternoon. Some of you've seen him around. If you haven't seen him, if you're any part of the catfishing world, you have seen this guy numerous times. If you're around the Bama Blues, the TCCR?
TRCC.
TRCC Trail, the Heart of Dixie Trail, you have seen Secody Howard. As a matter of fact, if you just look around the top 5 at the finishes, you're going to find his name and Adam Wright's up there in the top 5 if there ain't number 1 or number 2. They are really good fishermen. Secody, glad to have you in the house with us tonight, man. Introduce yourself and tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, like you said, I appreciate being on here, Stacy. As everybody knows, I'm Secody. I go by Salt. In the Salt and Pepper catfishing team here with Adam Wright in the North Alabama area, fish the Tennessee River from Pickwick all the way up to Gunnersville, occasionally up into the Tennessee area, the Nickajack area, but that's about it.
Secody, we're so glad to have you in here. I know I asked you this earlier because it seemed like the last 2 years I started seeing your name pop up. I remember the first time I seen Salt and Pepper. I had seen Adam around a little bit, and you, and from then I just started keeping up. And you're not hard to keep up with because truly your name is up at the top of the list every time you have a weigh-in or you're in a tournament. You and Adam always do so good, man. You've been really successful at this, and we're glad to have you on our program this afternoon, man.
Thank you.
Maybe we can get a few tips and techniques out of it. I know backstage guys, for the ones who've not tuned in, they already been trying to grab some tips and techniques out of him, but he's pretty tight with it. Oh, guys, one more time, I want y'all, if it would, I'd love to see 100 viewers in here tonight. Maybe we'll get that right there. Aaron, what you got on your mind now, man?
Oh, nothing, man. Glad to be here. Glad to have Secody on here, man. Get this boy some recognition. He's in the last couple of years, man. You've watched him and Adam just explode in the fishing side of it and just really make a name for themselves.
Yeah,
we're gonna pick his brain tonight, boys.
And I want to stress to the people that's out there, this guy, him and Adam, has done really, really well. And I know I'm repeating myself, but I have been really impressed by what they have done. Always catching some big fish and being really consistent at it. It's one thing to have a good outing, but when you start doing it tournament after tournament after tournament, I told Chad one time, you may catch them one time and call it luck, but when you go to catching them over and over, the luck part's done gone. That right there takes some skill.
Scott Childers said that Secody could catch them in Walmart parking lot.
So, Cody, as we get started here, man.
Are you gonna have some of this?
So, Cody, as we get started, how long have you been fishing, or just catfishing? How long have you been doing this?
I've just been catfishing in general, pretty much since I was a little kid. It all started with my grandpa back in Mississippi when I used to go visit him during the summer when I was out of school. I was born and raised in Texas. So for me to travel back to Mississippi and the lower Alabama area and to fish with my grandparents during the summer is where it kind of all took off and started from.
Yeah. Now, how did you get to where you're at now, as far as where you're living at?
I joined the military out of high school, got stationed in Colorado as a helicopter mechanic. I flew Blackhawks. Then once I got out, got a job working here in Huntsville, pretty much doing the same thing, crewing Blackhawks, working on them, tearing them apart, rebuilding them, sending them off to different countries. So that's kind of how I ended up here in Huntsville.
Yeah, I was talking to Charles Crook this morning, the owner of Meat Hunter Rods, and he'd asked me who I was going to have on here. I told him I was having Secody Howard on. And he asked me, he says, you make sure you ask him, what does he do? Because he said then, he told me, he says, I think he works on Black Hawk helicopters. And that's impressive, man. Have you ever flew any of them?
I have not personally flown the Black Hawk, but I can fly the Black Hawk.
Now,
I ain't getting in with him.
Well, I can say if he can fly a Black Hawk helicopter, he should be able to catch some catfish.
Now, so
at least ought to be able to run the boat pretty good, hadn't he?
I think so.
Yeah. Hey, well, I can tell you this. When they have blast off, I ain't been to but one tournament with him and Adam really when we took off. Listen, they was gone.
I don't guess I'd ever met him, but the few tournaments I do go to, I have seen him and his partner, and I always chit-chat with his partner because we're both Atlanta Braves fans, but I always see him around, and he's always smiling, and he's I can read people pretty well, and by the smile he's always got on his face, he's one of the good ones. And like you said, Stacy, the tournaments that I've fished in and they've been in them, they've always got up there and got our entry fees from us. So they're good fishermen, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into we're basically go ahead and jump into it. Probably what everybody's wanting to know is some tips and techniques and what all is going on. Hey, there's another great cat fisherman in here tonight. I ain't saw him in here in a while. Ronnie Dixon. He's down there from Florida, the Panhandle of Florida. Ronnie, glad to have you in with us here tonight, man.
Him and his pops have been putting a whooping on them boys this year down there.
Hey, man, they tough down there, ain't they?
Panhandle of Florida, Ronnie.
Hey, as we do this, guys, I encourage you to ask questions. We're going to try to make sure we get to all the questions that we can get to. Aaron and Joey, I'm going to need y'all's help right here as we get started. So, Cody, how long you been tournament fishing now?
I've been tournament fishing since pretty much 2019. I was here in 2018. I left for about 4 or 5 months and came back to Huntsville. After I went and did some schooling for 4 or 5 months in Colorado, came back here and kind of started tournament fishing when I got back and settled in.
Now,
2 years now.
Around 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, 2 to 3 years, all right.
Had you ever done any forest catfishing tournaments prior to that?
Nope.
I'm going to ask a couple of questions because I know a lot of people is getting started in it. When you first started, how was it? Did you come out of the gate winning, or did you just learn and work your way up through here?
I just definitely have to learn and work my way up through it. Trying to learn, trying to pattern fish and things of that nature, what rigs to use, or, I had to learn everything pretty much. I came here using spinning reels, learned real quick that they ain't the route to go. And, I grew up, using 20-pound test line, no leader, just tie the weight, tie a hook, send it. And that ain't the way to go either. So,
hey, and I'm gonna stop you here because I don't know if any of these guys can relate, but we started out catfishing sort of the same way, and we had 15, 20-pound test line, and we slide an egg sinker up on it, and Aaron, I'm gonna tell you some old school stuff. The way I kept that egg sinker from sliding back down, I had a split shot piece of lead I'd put on there and bite it down on the line. And then we wonder why our line got broke all the time.
That was, hey man, when I first started catfishing, I was probably 5, 6 years old. My stepdad would take us down to the river over in Kansas, and we'd catch a bunch of small fish. But I mean, we were using 1/4 ounce split shots and worm. We go dig our own worms, catch our own crawdads, catch our own brim, all that. And we never got to use a brim. Dad always got to use a brim. He's afraid we were going to lose the big ones.
So Cody, and I want to share a little bit more about the tournament trails and the tournament catfishing, because I've seen just by being a part of it, that being a part of the tournament trails and just watching the guys, it's going to make you, or it has me, it challenges you, and it also pushes you to do things out of your regular comfort zone, and this made me a better fisherman. I don't know about everybody else, but do you feel the same way?
I do. I mean, a lot of things that I wasn't comfortable with or thought like, yeah, that's real dumb, comes out to be real smart actually. So I kind of just keep my mouth shut and like, just let it play out.
Yeah. You may be like me. I sit around and I'm constantly listening to these guys that's up at the top, and I'm like, what did he do today? Because he come to the scale and he had this and I had nothing, you know.
Most of the time when you ask them, though, I mean, you know, they get on the stage and I've tried the Kool-Aid chicken breasts and stuff, what everybody says they win tournaments on, and I just ain't buying it.
Yeah. Joey, you can't listen to quite everything I tell you.
Then why are you asking him these questions for?
Joey, let me share this. You know when they tell you that they're biting in 30 foot of water and you sitting in 30 and they pass, you go into 100-foot stuff.
That's right.
You're like, I don't think we're listening to the right guy.
That's right.
It's funny, too, because then you tell guys exactly what you're going to do, and they think you're lying to them. And then the next day out, you weigh in a good bag, and they're like, well, what'd you do today?
Hey, so Cody, there's two questions.
I was going to.
Yeah.
There's
2 questions here. What is your go-to method for catching wintertime catfish?
I try to go more to the anchor fishing. Well, spot lock.
Is that what y'all do a majority of the time? Is that one of your favorite techniques, is anchor fishing?
I would say we're about 50-50 with dragging and anchoring.
Yeah.
We'll start off with one thing. We'll plan the week and like everyone go and start dragging. And if that ain't working, then we go to anchoring and vice versa.
Yeah. And they also ask it, and I feel like this may be the same question, but he was also asking about a technique to catch them big ones you've been catching. Can you, without sharing so much, can you share a little bit about what, maybe just some things in general that you're looking for when you're out? Do you go out scouting, or you just work through the day and start changing things up as you go?
We kind of just look throughout the week, kind of look at the weather. And we base a lot of things off the weather. It's just real windy. We're like, we don't know if we want to drag in that. It'd be a lot easier to get the boat anchored up and fish comfortably instead of getting blown around. But other than that, I mean, let's go with what the day gives us, pretty much.
Yeah.
And if we figure something out, then we'll stick to it. If we know if we're fishing a ledge, then. You know, if I was from my side of the boat and I'm in deeper water, then maybe the fish are a little bit deeper. If it's on Adam's side and it's shallow, then maybe the fish are a little bit shallower. We'll try to pattern that. And if that changes, then we'll go back to planning something else from there.
Yes, sir.
I think I've asked Churchwell before, and I think Chad and Stacy and I chit-chat quite a bit. If you and your partner was pulling up, what conditions, water depth, makes y'all lick your chops and absolutely know today is going to be the day it's on. Your idea depth water and your idea weather conditions.
I mean, my ideal depth, I like to fish probably like my target depth is pretty much anywhere from 25 to 40 foot. And anything below that, I'm just like, I'm fishing pretty shallow, pulling Aaron.
Exactly. Yeah, my whole book's gone whenever I started talking to Aaron at Winter Blues. We was fishing in the deepest water we could find, and he comes up saying he was catching them on a buzz bait in 2 foot of water. So
he'll never see me in 2 foot of water, not throwing a bait, not on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't intentionally go to 2 foot of water.
So do you like it? You like overcast or sunny blue skies or what's your?
I like overcast, rainy weather, the weather people don't want to be in.
Right. Yeah. I got you.
And that I think I made comment last week, Aaron. On here, I said there's a lot of tournament guys who don't look for them perfect days. They looking for this overcast, raining, this, that, and another, and it really makes you work for what you get. Because the guy that told me one time and says I want it to be bad conditions because half of the folks ain't gonna tough it out for that. They're not going to know what to do when it gets offered that, That
really bad year at Winter Blues when those few boats sank, when we got back to the boat ramp, I legitimately told everybody today was the day we needed to be out there. Today we would have seen some huge bags come off that body of water. I don't know what it is about that real nasty weather, wind blowing real bad. For some reason, them big fish start moving.
There's one thing that I do like, and I don't know about everybody else. I ain't crazy about them bluebird days. I like it overcast, and I don't want it storming, but I don't mind if it's a little bit, misty. But I like at least overcast. It seems to me that right there is the best, and it may be a little ripple on the water,
Yep.
I can tell you one thing from experience. I don't know if it's just for me, and Stacy and I has talked about it. If I'm sitting in that boat in the middle of the daytime and it's a beautiful day and I look up and can see that moon, you might as well call the dogs off and head to the truck because although I'll sit out there all day long because I'm not real smart anyway, whether I catch a fish or not, I'll still sit there. But if I see that moon, I'm paying less attention to fishing and more on Facebook or Marketplace trying to find a deal on something other than watching them rods.
Hey, guys, we have got a catfish guide in with us this afternoon. If you're around the North Alabama area, you're looking for a guide here on the Tennessee River. J.R. Hall is in the house with us. You can look him up under Black Sheep Catfishing. He says Secody should tell y'all about the autograph rod I have for him. What does that mean, Secody?
So back in, I think, September tournament or early October, I can't remember when it was, but JR had been running his mouth a lot on Facebook about the tournament on Guntersville, and me and Adam have been pretty hard to beat on Guntersville in the past year or so, 2 years, and
y'all have had a run on Guntersville.
And JR came out with a crazy bet that I think it was me, Josh, and Mike Mitchell, that who are the highest placing team out of us four was going to get an autographed Hellcat rod to the other team. So at the end of the day, JR walked away with the rods.
Hey, I did notice something also, Stacy, for all the fair weather fishermen. J.R. Hall's got a heater in his boat. So if I'm going winter fishing and I'm just going out there to try to catch big ones, I'd like to find a guy that's got a heater on their boat because it seems to me, it's that's the way to go.
At that point.
Yeah.
I actually just looked at those the other day after he posted those pictures and was checking those little heaters out. They look pretty nice. I think I'm going to end up putting one in the Tundra.
Don't they run off like a gallon of diesel fuel?
Gallon of diesel. It's the gas can they're all different. Some of them come with like 12 liters. Some of them come with like 18 liter. But they're supposed to use like 0.9 of a gallon for like an 8 to 10 hour period.
Wow.
Stacy now's got a heater on his boat now. He was grilling hot dogs our last trip on his new Coleman grill. And it was cold, man. I told him he was up on the front deck. I said, close that windshield and bring that cooking hot dogs back here between us so we can get warm. He looked at me like I was stupid, but I was being serious.
Adam made a comment, the worse conditions, the better. And Kevin Walters also put on here, just about all of his nice fish have come on worse weather conditions. What do y'all think about that?
I agree. Like I said earlier, I think those bigger fish, they move around a lot more. I think, you know, when you got waves and everything out there that are covering the sound of a boat being there, I think you're more likely to get those bigger fish to eat because they don't know that boat's right there as compared to in flat water.
You're keeping everything stirred up too. You got all that plankton stirred up, which gets the shad stirred up, which keeps the skipjack stirred up, which, you know, it just gets everything active.
Hey, I will say this. If you go back and look at a lot of videos and you start to look at these guys putting big fish in the boat, I can remember a time me and Joey had problems standing up in the boat. We was trying to hold on to a big one.
Hey, we also have problems like Aaron said, you know, they don't hear boats and stuff. I promise you, if there's a fish within a quarter of a mile of the boat me and Stacy's fishing in, they're going to hear us. Most of the time we're singing. It's anything from Baby Got Back to Jesus Loves the Little Children. We getting it. So that may be our problem, Stacy.
Making too much noise, ain't we?
I know that night on Wilson when I was anchored up about 150 yards from y'all. Boy, you knew right then and there when they got a good one on. All them lights came on and they were hooting and hollering. And I was like, well, we might as well wait for that live feed to kick on. Yep, there it is.
Hey, Aaron, you ain't seen lights yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
We got some now. I'm going to light it up, man.
Hey, somebody posted in here, what's the best bait to use in colder weather?
I'm a skipjack fan. I don't like to use shad. I don't like throwing the cast net. I'll do it, but I'm skipjacking.
Hey, well,
If I'm using shad, it's because I can't catch nothing else.
Yep, exactly.
Well, Secody, you can get along good with Joey because Joey says if they don't bite skipjack, we just ain't catching nothing today.
Pretty much.
I think the first time I met Aaron Churchwell, he was throwing a cast net that was like, I think it was like 60 foot in diameter. He was down on a dock.
Yeah, he's 20 pounds. I've seen that net.
The back of the net was still in the back of his truck.
So I'm going to keep this PG-13. There was a angler roundup that night in Decatur, and there had been some adult beverages drank. And it was so cold out that the net was freezing by the time I was getting the bait out of it. And it was only a 12-foot net.
12, 60,
I left that net on that dock that night, by the way.
We're fishermen. 12 and 60 is pretty close. And I'm from Kentucky, so it's really close.
Hey, Secody, somebody throw here about
me throw a net.
Somebody throw here about you pretty good at catching skipjack too.
I do a little bit of that.
Yeah,
he's the skipjack whisperer. What are you talking about?
I think that's what somebody said a while ago.
Ain't no doubt.
I honestly just enjoy catching skipjack. I think it's fun. That's why I do it.
They are a lot of fun to catch, especially when you get on when it happens pretty quick.
Chad, you seen any questions in chat?
Not a whole lot. Looks like we got them about all answered.
I can tell you one thing. Cody's got a lot of fans.
I know. He does, don't he?
From cooking ribeyes to catching skipjacks to flying helicopters, and they're saying he pretty much owns about everybody in that area when he fishes in tournaments. So he's got some fans. But J.R. Hall did say that he's got his Hellcat ride and he appreciates it. I think he take y'all's lunch money or something too, or what was I remember seeing the lunch money bucket hanging on the side of his boat on one of the tournaments.
That was just his winnings.
Oh, yeah. I
guess. We need to buy JR a set of scales, though.
Yes. Got a 90. It's about 30 pounds short of a 90, bud.
Oh.
Hey, they did come and borrow the scales when Stacy and I was down there hooping and hollering. And Churchwell, I know one of them live feeds, you was in the background hooping and hollering that you had a big one too. So
You guys had a 70 in the boat, and I caught one that was probably like, I think it was 47, and then the guy with me ended up losing a really big one right after that.
hey, that was
That was the bite window right there.
June.
That night we was up there, man. There were them big ones, them monsters was out roaming that night, wasn't they?
Yeah.
Mid-June. June, I think it was like June the 3rd.
No, it was
All right, I
cold.
think there's going to be a story here.
Aaron, I'm gonna speak up where they can't hear you.
It was cold that night. I remember that.
I think there's going to be a story here. Michael Wright asked, "What was the worst fishing trip you ever went on?" Secody.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say Helena last year.
The tournament, Helena, the tournament day of Helena was horrible. I ain't fished in Mississippi since, to be honest.
That was the day that they learned what rising and falling water meant.
Oh yeah,
Uh-oh.
What's the Cody? What
sandbars, it was a good time.
Oh, man.
They had been, you guys had went down there a couple times the week previous, haven't you? Didn't
We
you
went
guys?
down there a week or two before then, and I mean, I hate bumping. We tried it. I don't like it. I have no confidence in it. I ain't never caught a fish. I ain't never felt a bite. I know what a rock feels like.
I'll tell you though, man, it's just like anything else. It's just like learning how to drag baits and everything, man. Just stick with it. And once you catch a fish doing it, you'll enjoy it. It's just like everything else, man.
I know Adam told me at the captain's meeting that night. He said, "You can't catch a fish bumping." I said, "We'll see tomorrow then."
Well,
But they fished the river a week before that, and it was on a rise, and they were dragging some
They
mud
were
flat.
dragging planer boards on the Mississippi.
Yeah.
And tournament day, it was on a fall.
Ball. Those fish went to the channel.
Hey, Stacy, there's a couple of questions before they pass up. John Cyclone wants to know if has any of us ever used mullet. I know Aaron Churchwell had a mullet, but I don't know about if anybody's ever used mullet. And there's also one asking, since a lot of us pull planer boards, is it recommended when anchored to use drift boards as long as you have the current? He's new to drift fishing, so.
Actually,
I never run planer boards if I'm anchored up.
Stacy
I just never have done it.
And Joey have. I know y'all have used planer boards.
I know Stacy and Joey have.
Stacy runs his out. He'll run his out 400 yards where he has to set with binoculars looking at it to get it away from the boat because we're so loud.
Aaron, if you close to me, I'll be fishing over behind you.
You be sitting there going, "Man, who's out here putting noodles out?"
And a lot of times, if I'm anchored up and it got some good current, I will put me a structure snake on, and I will let it down, and I'll sit right there with my thumb on it, and I will literally run it a long way out there. And I'll get them, two of them out to the side. I'll get them way out there far enough out the way, and I let them go. And all of them, I'm usually put them on the front of my boat and go on back to the back and go to fishing, and be done forgot about them. You hear something rattling in the rod holder, you got.
I tell you, there is a cool technique if you check it out and try it, and the current's just right. You can set them, and Stacy's tried it a time or two, and I think Churchwell, you may. I think this. You turn that bait clicker on and let that current just slowly pull them out while you're sitting there fishing, man, and that you cover a whole lot of water.
Yeah.
I've never tried it. I've tried suspending on planer boards while I'm anchored.
So Cody, what's your favorite place to do a tournament and why?
I would have to go with Gunnersville, and why is, I don't know. I'm pretty consistent on Gunnersville for the most part.
Because he gets paid.
He's got that phone number for all them hogs up there.
He gets paid.
on
Huh?
Gunnersville.
And I know I can go from dragging to anchoring in the same stretch of water, just about, maybe within a mile or so,
Yeah.
and be perfectly fine. It's kind of hard to do that, like on Wheeler. You're on the lower end. You gotta drive way up to get some current to really anchor. And Gunnersville is a happy medium between the two.
So Cody, and I would say the answer to this is going to be, because everything you say you fish with a skipjack. So what's your biggest fish?
97
97
off of Wheeler Lake.
Wow.
Skipjack
those
head,
GPS
body,
coordinates.
skipjack head or chunk or what? Do you remember?
Skipjack head.
That skipjack head is a big game bait.
Were you anchor?
So I guess is your preferred method dragging baits?
Yeah, like I said, I'm up 50-50 on that.
Okay, I got you.
Let me ask you this, just out of curiosity. The big fish, did he come off a dragon or come off an anchor?
Off anchor. Biggest fish off a drag was I personally didn't catch. I took my supervisor and his two boys out earlier this year on Gunnersville, and I let them. They reeled in at 83, and that was on a drag.
83. Yeah. It seems like, I don't know about what y'all, I think we brought this up last week. Aaron, let me start with you. Your biggest fish, he come off of what technique?
Anchored on the Mississippi in about 4 mile per hour current.
Good night.
Chad, what about yours?
Anchor.
Joey, what about yours?
I think my top 3 or 4 or 5 fishes. I ain't still fishing anchored.
Yeah. I don't know what, but I'm telling you, if I'm looking for big boys, it's hard. That anchor fishing is a good technique.
Yeah. Let me ask y'all, what's y'all's opinion on why that is? Do you think it's you're able to fish the structure down there where the big fish live, or those big fish just don't move fast enough to chase a bait down?
No,
Cody,
I
we're
think
going to
it's
start with you. Let's start with Cody.
I personally think I wouldn't necessarily say that they're always in structure, but I just necessarily think they're just real lazy. And so if they can just move 10 feet and grab something, they're going to do it, as opposed to hanging out in the channel and swimming trying to chase a bait, like you said.
Aaron, what's your thoughts?
I think it's the same thing. I don't think they necessarily, because I mean I've caught fish over 80 dragging before. It's not as consistent. You catch 40s, 50s dragging is one thing. Every once in a while you'll catch 60, 70, 80s doing it. And I think that's all in where you're fishing. If those fish are feeding in that area, then you have a high chance of catching them, while you're covering water. But I think for the most, I think those fish do tend to hang towards structure.
Yeah. There's something about it. I would say that. I don't know just what it is, but
Stacy, I would say that too, but I do know this: the 2 or 3 biggest fish that I had caught, I was when they hit it, they wasn't playing no games. They was coming through there flat feeding. So, and I don't know so much about the structure part, but I do know the biggest, and I can speak for a couple of your biggest ones, Stacy's, when I've been with you. When they hit them jokers, them June nights, they was feeding and they was coming through there like sharks.
June night.
Half of that's the truth.
Well, hey, Bobby, I can tell you this. There's a little bit of structure there, but there's not a lot.
I mean,
I'm going to tell you right now, Bobby, there's quite a bit there if you look.
when them fish hit, I'm telling y'all, they was time you caught them, they was 20 or 30 feet over and they was packing the mail.
I will say this. I know, Joey, I can't remember. I think it was one. I don't think it was one of the great big ones we caught. But I do remember being out one night and Joey did not lock his reel down. He just put his clicker on and it was just sitting there. We was in just a little bit of current. The clicker was able to hold it. And that fish hit that rod. And I'm telling you, that clicker, it sounded like it was hooked to a weed eater. And you know what? I don't know how he done. I'm telling you, I don't know how he done this. He's sitting there and looked at me, and me hollering, "Lock it down, lock it down." I'm like, man, that thing is just screaming. And that fish, I said he gave him a running start. When he grabbed it, man, he was gone.
Hey, you sit out there for a long, long, long time waiting to hear that. So I try to soak it in for at least a few seconds.
I wanted to soak it in too, right after you engage that reel.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you another thing. That Gunnersville, speaking to that Gunnersville fish are different, especially in flatheads, because they don't play around. You ain't sitting there, you know, the old technique where you're watching it to try to set the hook. Them jokers, when they hit in Gunnersville, they are taking it to the house.
Freight trains.
Yeah, they
do that.
My biggest fish on the Mississippi, that fish. So we marked him, and he was in a hole behind a broken wing dike, and we pulled up, got the boat situated. We casted 6 rods out, turned around. I started tidying up the boat. I mean, we had 3 little bitty fish in the boat, and I was, you know, day's over with. You know, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. My partner at the time's like, "Hey, you got a bite on that rod." Unless it's folded over, I don't care about it. "Oh, you got a bite on that rod." I cleaned up the whole boat, went used the restroom off front of the boat, and finally I'd heard enough of it. I walked back there. I said, "There ain't a fish on here," and I cranked down on it, and it just, as I reeled, it stopped, and I was like, "Man, it's hung up. That's what it is. It's hung up." I picked the rod up, reeled down, and about the time I got right here, that joker just, and it was gone. I mean, he was southbound and going somewhere else, son. I must have hit him in the head with it when I casted it out there. He didn't move.
So, Cody, what's your biggest flathead?
Biggest hat is 53.8. Actually, the one I caught at the Heart of Dixie Championship 2 weeks ago.
Wow, that's a good one. So, Cody, what is your setup if you're anchor fishing? Give us a little idea how you tie your rig and what are you using?
I use the same Santee rig, the same thing I'm dragging with, the same thing I anchor with. I'm not changing rigs. I have extra rods, but I'm not pulling out an anchor rod and saying I'll go from anchoring to dragging in 2 seconds. Just clip on a different weight.
Yes, sir.
For nothing.
Yeah, I
Hey, Scott Childers asked how long you sat on the spot without a bite before you move.
If there's big fish there, I mark 2 or 3 good fish sitting there, and I'll sit on them. I'll give them an hour. I'll leave. And I'll come back to them.
They're going to eat sometime.
That's a good question. That's a good question that I have for people, and for all you guys. If you guys go to a good, structure spot, and you pull up and fish it, say first thing in the morning, and you don't catch any fish there, would you guys go back to it in the middle of the day? I've never personally.
If I saw fish on it, and they just didn't want to bite, then I try to go back to it.
It depends on if you're catching fish wherever you go.
I do have I don't know, maybe Aaron was fixing to say the same thing. I do have a tendency, if I know that there's big fish there, I will sit on it a long time. But once I leave, I just about gone. I'm like, I just sit there 2 hours on them, But I will, if I know there's big fish there, I will sit there a long time.
So can y'all remember, all 5 of us caught our personal best from sitting there. I know Churchwell, you just said something about yours, but how long into your setting was it before you caught that big fish at that particular spot?
No, mine was probably about 3 to 4 minutes.
Man, that'd be sweet there.
A lot of my big fish that I've caught comes within I'd say the first 10 minutes of sitting somewhere, the big fish hits. And after I catch a big fish out of that spot, I just might as well reel it in and leave.
What about you, Chad? Chad caught a big moose. How long was you sitting there before you caught that great big one?
Long enough to throw 3 rods out and have the 4th one in my hand when I looked back over and seen that rod buried.
Well, Stacy and I setting them spot that we've caught some good ones in for like 4 days before. And finally, we sat there till the cows come home because we know eventually going to happen.
We have sit there several hour on end, and I mean, there's been some times we would go and sit in like, hey, 3 to 4 hours in the afternoon, and after being there 2 or 3 hours, you look over, and all of a sudden you hear drag ripping. He said, "There he is,"
and he's coming through there like a shark, grabbing it, and it.
And there has been times, Joe. I think the last time we caught the 290 plus was back to back. We didn't sit there a long time. We was there, and we pulled one in and looked around, and I thought that if that fish didn't break that rod, he had that thing. I ain't never seen a rod bend like that.
Yeah,
he was gone.
Nathan Trammell said last couple tournaments I've seen Bobby fishing the same spot. No, that was a 2-day tournament, and we weren't in the same spot. If you actually look there, that's a huge stretch of structure all down through there. We wasn't in the same spot.
Hey, I want to do this before I get let this get away from me. Everybody that's tuned in here tonight, meat hunters, Charles Crook. I know you've heard about this, the Boss Hog. You got one right there, Aaron. Hang on a minute, Aaron. Let me pull you over here. Show them what you got.
The old Boss Hog, son. We had a lot of people, a lot of big names in the sport that put a lot of time and effort to make this rod what it is. But this one single rod, you can go drift with, you can suspend with, you can drag with, you can turn around, throw 16, 20 ounces of lead with it, and then you can turn around and go bump with this same exact rod.
Charles called that rod. Aaron, Charles called that rod bad. And what that mean?
Bumping, anchor, drift, and drag.
Yeah, it is. I know. What action is that with?
This is a heavy. This is 7.6 heavy. This is a split grip. So this is more for like bumping if you want to. I actually use these for anchor and for dragging too. But it's got a pistol grip on it. You can feel the blank behind it. There's going to be 5 different colors that they're going to hit the market with. Orange, blue, red, green, and I can't remember the other one. And then this is, I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't know you were going to do this.
Well, I wasn't asking you to, but you grabbed it and went to showing it, so we just put you right here where you can go to advertising.
So that's an orange one. And that's got the EVA foam grip on it. Not split. So still got the same reel seat on it. You can get it with an aluminum reel seat too. So
I really like mine.
It's one of the most versatile rods that I've ever used. So, and we went a long way from the first blank that he came with.
Oh, there ain't no doubt.
So this was the first one we started with. We ended up stiffening it up quite a bit, making it a little bit faster on the tip and giving it a little bit more backbone throughout it, going with a different grip, different reel seats. So,
yeah. They're going to be released tomorrow. They will be live on his website tomorrow. You can go to meathunterrods.com. Look up. He's got several rods there, but look for the Boss Hog. They will be on there tomorrow. You better get them while supplies last.
Tell him Ricky Bobby sent you. He'll give you a discount.
No, and that's another thing too. They're a little bit. I mean, I don't think they're pricey for what they are. I know a lot of guys look at it from the outside and go, I mean, what's different about that rod? Why am I spending this much money on that rod compared to, you know, I can go buy brand XYZ for $90. I mean, that rod right there is everything in one. So you don't have to buy a bumping rod and turn around and buy a heavy anchor rod, and then also like a medium heavy to go drag with. That's all in one rod. So that's I mean the quality and craftsmanship in that rod is next to none too. So
it's a nice rod. So the guys, I just want to let y'all know they'll be on the site tomorrow. You can go there. You'll be able to find the Boss Hogs. They will be released tomorrow. I encourage you to go get you one.
Dale Dunaway just got tuned in with us.
No, where has Dale been at?
He said he'd been in the shop.
he wasn't in the shop. He was out there at the restaurant.
Dale, glad to have you tuned in with us this afternoon, man.
He had to go by Sonic and get that cherry limeade with no ice.
$1 corn dog.
Guys, before we jump off of here tonight, let's go back to Secody just a minute. Secody, anybody, anything else you want to add to this? You want to give a shout out to anybody or anything like that?
Dale asked Cody about them 12s. I give a shout out to Dale. Dale, I guess came to me last month or so, been a little over a month ago, and gave me some hooks to try out. Really been enjoying them, so I'd like to give a shout out to Dale. Appreciate that. Y'all, thank y'all for having me on there. It was a pleasure.
Sir.
Can't wait to do it again.
We got to get you and Adam on here at the same time.
By the way, you definitely ain't gonna be able to get a word in then.
Yeah, save a 2-hour block for that one, huh?
Yeah, we'll do that on a special. Yeah. Anything else, Cody? Cody?
That'd be about it, I guess. Yeah. Anybody else have any more questions?
Hey, for any of you guys out there that don't know Secody, Secody and Adam are very down-to-earth people, man. If you guys see them out, walk up, shake their hand. I mean,
Secody's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
They're some of the nicest people in the world. So definitely get out there. I mean, you guys ever got a question for him about Guntersville, Wheeler? Secody lives up there. He fishes up there a lot. Send him a message. I'm pretty sure he'd more than be happy to help people out.
Want to hop in the boat? Come on.
What?
I said, if they want to hop in the boat, come on.
They're going to blindfold you, though.
Adam
Wright said that episode with him and Secody is going to have to be catfishermen after dark. What rods do you use, Secody? Had somebody
right now I'm running the all Hellcats.
They've got a half and half boat.
What action are they?
Hellcats and Mad Cats.
What action are the Hellcats you fish with?
I run all extra heavies.
I like that extra heavy rod.
Softer tip, but more backbone.
I love that rod. That's the rod that I'm using too. I have a couple of Hellcats, and then I have a couple of just the regular big catfish.
I have a couple of regular ones also, but they're all in extra heavy though.
Yep.
That rod surprised me when Chad got them, and we went up to Guntersville and or on Wheeler and fished, and just you put that thing vertical on a rod holder, and it looks like it's just stiffer than a 2x4. And then you pick it up and you feel the tip to it, and that's pretty impressive.
Aaron, when Chad got that rod, he talked about and bragged about that thing for 2 months.
Hey, I like it.
I think I have about 17 here in the house right now.
Oh, big money over here.
Yeah. Aaron, Chad, you got anything you want to say before we jump over here?
I want to tell everybody happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy this time with your families. Appreciate all you guys. That's about it, man.
What about you, Aaron?
Hey, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching the show with us. Thanks to Cody for joining us. Thanks, Stacy, for having me.
Yeah. Joy, what you got, my friend?
I want to thank Aaron and Secody for their service first, and been thinking of some close people. I got a couple real close friends. A couple of them tuned in that's going through some problems. Keep them in your prayers. I know Paula. Keep her in your prayers, and Stacy, I sent you the message yesterday. I don't know if you got it or not, but Brian, that family there needs all the prayers. He reached out to me yesterday, and they're going through some bad times. And Thanksgiving, a lot of us will be with our families, and I'm awful grateful for my family and the health that my family has. And it kind of gets me choked up really thinking of a lot of the stuff that's going on in the whole nation right now, the COVID. There's a lot of people that's, they won't have as much fun on Thanksgiving as I'm going to have. And I'm grateful and I'm blessed and I'm thankful that my family's healthy. And those families that are struggling right now, my heart goes to you. And I promise you, I pray for, I don't just get on there and tell you that I pray for you. I do pray for you. So keep your head up, and prayers to you, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah. I want to do one thing before I get off of here this afternoon. I've got a certificate that I want to give away. This right here is for River Rat River Prayers. It's for 5 free reel cleanings, and the winner of that tonight
is Joey Kirby.
You just missed it by 1 spot, Joey.
Well, then I get 3 cleaning reels.
Ryan Jahnke, if you would, you can send me your address. I will get this certificate to you, and all you have to do is get it to them at River Rat River Pairs, and they'll clean up your 5. It's good for 5 free reel cleanings. Guys, before I jump over here this afternoon, we're celebrating Thanksgiving this week. This is a time of the year that we as a nation have set aside to do this. If you don't celebrate it every day, maybe you'll take time to do it this week. But I am so thankful for all that the Lord has done for me. I remember years ago, and I'm going to share this story because it's always stuck with me. We went to a church service one night years ago, and the preacher got up and preached, and he preached a message, an attitude of gratitude. And I had to be probably at least 25 years ago, and I've never forgot it. It's hardly ever a day that goes by that when I wake up, I'm not thankful. I just always thank the Lord for the help that I've got. Guys, this week, I want, if you would, take a time out of your busy life, out of your hectic schedule, and just look around. And we're blessed people. And I know that sometimes we focus on all the things that are wrong, but maybe you just need to take some time and focus on all the things that's going right in your life. Be very thankful for what you got. God bless y'all. Y'all have a good afternoon, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.